This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the live national airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250 plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM listing nearest you. Plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80. Plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Whole bunch of stuff to get into today. Some NBA action, some noise coming out of Clipperland. We'll touch on that. Obviously, some football news, particularly with the retirement of Luke Kuechly. 28-year-old, seven-time Pro Bowl linebacker for the Carolina Panthers, has decided to call it a career, courtesy of a multitude of concussions he has suffered from throughout his career. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. But the first order of business is that another head has rolled, figuratively speaking, of course, involving Major League Baseball. And this time it was very, very predictable. It was Alex Cora, the manager, the now former manager of the Boston Red Sox. Now, for those of you who did not listen to this show yesterday, Mr. Jeff Passan, MLB insider extraordinaire for the family, for ESPN, came on the show to highlight for us and crystallize why, indeed, A.J. Hinch, the manager for the Houston Astros, along with Jeff Luhnow, the general manager for the Houston Astros, were both suspended by the league, Commissioner Rob Manfred, for a year involving this sign stealing scandal. In Major League Baseball. They were suspended for the year. An hour later, after the news came down, Monday afternoon, 3 p.m., hours before the national championship game between LSU and Clemson took place at the Mercedes-Benz Dome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Hours before that game. 1 hour after the commissioner came down with his ruling, the owner for the Houston Astros, Mr. Jim Crane, fired his general manager and his manager. In the report, 9 pages long, by Rob Manfred, I believe he mentioned Alex Cora's name about 11 times. And so you had guys like Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe and others calling for Alex Cora to be fired, if not to step down immediately. And within a matter of hours, the Boston Red Sox had announced that they had mutually parted ways. Now, y'all can believe that if y'all want to. The man was fired. Let's just call it what it is. The man was fired. You know, you want him to save face. He's a good guy. You like him. You certainly don't want to cast additional aspersions upon him. You want him to go on, live his life. He was a member of the Red Sox family. He delivered you a World Series. You're incredibly happy about that. You have a strong level of affection for him. So you didn't want to just put him out there on Front Street and announce that he was fired. Mr. Crane didn't give a damn. Owner for the Houston Astros didn't give a damn. He said, hell with you both, you fired. Both of you. All right? Having said all of that, let's be clear. It was fair. A.J. Hinch should have been fired. He was a manager. According to him, he did not participate, but as he admitted in his mea culpa of a letter, the bottom line is he knew about it and did nothing about it. The GM, Jeff Luhnow, tries to claim he didn't know much about it. Nobody trying to hear that. Your bench coach at the time with the Houston Astros was Alex Cora. Not only did he have something to do with implementing technological devices out in center field and ultimately having a screen near the dugout where you could literally see the signs that catchers were giving pitches, etc. And you were able to give batters a head up on what actual pitch was coming because you would pound a trash can. And it would give them an indication of what pitch to look for, what pitch to avoid. And ultimately, because those signs were being stolen, you had to screen the monitor up at the dugout. Alex Cora, he was dimed out by the GM. GM tried to say he ain't got nothing to do with me. It was the bench coach and employees, subordinates. He knew nothing. But Commissioner Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball said, no. The buck does stop with you. Stop that. Stop that. Now, there are those out there, and I consider you all to be idiots, who think this way. Oh, the owner must have known. Not necessarily true. No. You the owner, you upstairs, man. You watching the game. You ain't paying attention to that. those idiosyncrasies like that, that's not what you're doing. Now, once the commissioner's office sent you a letter, you became aware of it then. But the reality is, prior to that, why would an owner be paying attention to something like that? I totally believe Mr. Crane had little to no knowledge about this, at least initially. Now, once the letter came from Major League Baseball, you could have done something about it. The letter came from Major League Baseball in September of 2017. You in the World Series that October, a month later. Clearly, you were still doing it. As Bill Plaschke for the Los Angeles Times pointed out in his tremendous column yesterday. Because what did he say? He said, wait a minute. This ace staff that we had, including Clayton Kershaw, including Brandon Morrow, including Yu Darvish and the crew. This staff suddenly over a 2-game stretch at Minute Maid Park gave up 18 runs or 26 hits and 8 and 6 home runs. How the hell that happened? So we understand that clearly folks weren't listening. And Alex Cora was your bench coach who instigated this, according to the report. Basically, his name is mentioned so much, you have no choice but to believe that. And so looking at it from that perspective, it was a foregone conclusion that this man's career in Boston was going to be over. It's the right decision. Now, for those of you that may not understand, Alex Cora is a lifer. He's been around baseball a long time. He's got a whole bunch of friends in the baseball community. And all of them have spoken out against him. Eduardo Perez and Glanville and a host of other commentators. They've spoken out against him. CeCe Sabathia talked about what might have been because at that age he could have captured the championship that late in his career. Mark Teixeira ain't stopping there. Now he's talking about how Carlos Beltran, who was a player on the squad for the Houston Astros in 2017, who immediately retired upon winning that World Series, who's now the manager of the New York Mets. Ladies and gentlemen, he's next on the hit list. Now, am I advocating that he get fired? No, because we don't have any proof of what the extent of his involvement was in that sign stealing scandal. But I will tell you this, there needs to be an investigation. And if that investigation is still ongoing or if that investigation has concluded, I want to hear Carlos Beltran. I need to hear complete exoneration. Otherwise, he should be fired too. He should be fired too. I mean, think about it, y'all. I mean, I can't believe I missed the boat on this initially because we didn't have all the information. I just thought 50-game suspension. Oh, please, you're stealing sign. What's the big deal? It's baseball. Everything happens in baseball. What's the problem? I didn't know that it was this level of premeditation. I didn't know that equipment was installed and you had a monitor in the dugout and you pounding on trash cans to feed batters about what pitches to avoid. What pitches were coming? You're trying to figure out what signs are being put out there. You're trying to figure out what pitches are coming a batter's way. You're trying to outsmart the opposition with your mind games. That's entirely different. That's gamesmanship. That's the sport. But to sit up there and to gain a technological advantage that you knew were illegal was illegal. To do that is egregious. And for Alex Cora to do it, who, by the way, has a brother in Major League Baseball, you brought shame to yourself. You brought shame to your family. You brought shame to the sport. How could you do that? You played in this sport. These are your brothers. Ladies and gentlemen, when you just think about it, pick your chosen profession. People who are near to dear and dear to you, even in the heat of competition, you backdoored them by cheating your way to the top. How do you think that's cool? How do you think that's okay? That's what Alex Cora did. There's no way around this. There's no way around this. I feel sorry because listen, I don't enjoy anybody losing their job. But when you talk about Alex Cora, listen, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. You think he's going to get another job in baseball? How could he? He hasn't even been suspended yet by Major League Baseball, and the Red Sox still fired him because they knew they wouldn't be able to have this hanging over their shoulders, over their head. They knew what was coming. He had to go. And chances are, if we had to bet our money right now, we'd probably think Carlos Beltran's about to be fired. He's the new manager for the New York Mets. Ain't even had spring training yet. And I'm telling you, he's probably going to get fired. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to see just managers and general managers suffering in all of this. Go ahead and watch the tapes when the Houston Astros was going against the White Sox in the regular season or the postseason. I think it's regular season. Watch them in the postseason against the Dodgers. Watch that pounding of that trash can. Somebody throws a fastball, you hear nothing. Somebody throws a breaking ball, all of a sudden you hear the pounding of that trash can, letting you know a breaking ball was coming. And I'm just figuratively speaking. I don't know whether it was a breaking ball or a slide or whatever. The point is, whenever a particular pitch was coming your way, they'd pound the trash can, giving a batter an indication to lay off that pitch or to anticipate it coming and swinging if it's appropriate. Let me ask y'all a question. How could something like that happen and the players not be complicit? The players most certainly were complicit in all of this. The players most certainly knew what was going on. I don't know how many players, but some of them clearly knew. Was one of them Carlos Beltran? Was it? We don't know. One can surmise, one can guess, one could assume. But there is no question. Some of those players for the Houston Astros was involved in this scandal. Was it Bregman? Was it Correa? Was it Altuve? We don't know. We honestly do not know. But to me, any player that you found to have been involved in all of this, they need to suffer an egregious consequence themselves. The players were complicit, y'all. And you know what makes this even worse? I want you to think for a second. And this is why I'm a total proponent of Lou Now and A.J. Hinch getting fired. I don't know them individually. I'm not casting any aspersions on them as human beings. I'm talking about their actions and what their actions warrant. Do y'all know that long before 3 consecutive years that the Houston Astros was going to the postseason, winning a World Series, losing another, losing in the postseason, winning over 100 games? Do you have any idea how awful the Houston Astros were? Do any of y'all have that any idea? I want to put this in its proper perspective because I don't think people are appreciating the severity of this to the fans in Houston, Texas. They got screwed over here. Let me count the ways. The Houston Astros over the last 3 years have won 100, 103, and 107 games over the last 3 years. 2 years before that, they made the postseason, winning 86 games, 86 and 76. Ladies and gentlemen, the 4 years before that, they lost 106 games in 2011, 107 in 2012, 111 in 2013, 92 in 2014. They gave new meaning to tanking. They accumulated draft picks because of that tanking. They sat up there and actually charged the paying customers in Houston showing up to Minute Maid Park to see an atrocity of a baseball team. 4 years. They took your money. They gave you garbage in return. And they said it was all for the sole express purpose, based on analytics and beyond. We're gearing for a new day. And then we learn that that day arrives. Courtesy of you cheating, courtesy of you engaging in such flagrant premeditation that it sickened the stomachs of the Major League Baseball office and Commissioner Rob Manfred? So sickening and egregious that the owner for the Houston Astros fired you an hour after the ruling came down? An hour, not a day, not 24 hours, 1 hour. You were fired. The GM and the manager. And Alex Correa, you're in Houston at the time. You go to Boston and you do this? And ladies and gentlemen, what about the victims? Let me tell you who the victims are. We can point to the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the biggest victims because they lost both World Series. And chances are Houston and Boston cheated their way to that title. The Yankees are the other because both teams went against the Yankees in the postseason. And that's what did them in. The Bronx Bombers show up and can't get it done. CeCe Sabathia spoke about that. We all know. This is some egregious stuff, man. And let me tell you something. After this, let me ask y'all a question out there. I mean, if we're not going to sit up there and hold players accountable for this, we just going to look to the managers, right? We're not going to hold the players accountable for this. Then guess what I want? I want Pete Rose reinstated in baseball now. Right now. If you're not going to hold players accountable and find out who is complicit in all of this from a player's perspective, I want Pete Rose reinstated in Major League Baseball, effective immediately. Pete Rose gambled on baseball as a manager. And if you don't want to reinstate Pete Rose in baseball, at least allow him to be in the Hall of Fame. Because there's no evidence of any kind of salacious or incendiary behavior or underhandedness going on in a playing career of Pete Rose. All-time hits lead, over 4,000 hits. The greatest nickname in the history of all of sports, Charlie Hustle. We ain't talking Air Jordan. We ain't talking Chocolate Thunder. We ain't talking none of that Mr. October. No, Charlie Hustle. You were a star because you hustled. Because you played every game like it was your last. That's why you were a star. You're Pete Rose. You don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? The Hall of Fame. With your playing career. With no evidence whatsoever that you had done anything, gambling or otherwise, while playing. And you don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but these dudes go unpunished? These dudes? Really? When managers are getting fired, when general managers are getting fired, when there's more stuff coming down the pike, the stain that this has brought to the sport of baseball. What did Cincinnati win when Pete Rose was a manager? We are sitting here right now at this particular moment in time debating whether or not 2 of the last 3 champions are even legitimate. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Black Sox Scandal Part 2. Or 2.0. That's the Black Sox Scandal 2.0. That fix involved the World Series. A World Series. My personal baseball encyclopedia. My brother Jeff Brown in California, LA, listening to me right now. Jeff, text me. Am I lying? Am I lying? This is the World Series we're talking about here. This ain't some damn game in April. It don't involve some damn casino in August. This is October. This is the Fall Classic. There's a championship on the line. And y'all were pulling this nonsense? When did Pete Rose do that? When that happened? I mean, you got to be kidding me. You that hard up for recognition that you will walk around sticking out your chest, proud to be called the champion, knowing you cut corners to pull it off? If that ain't the complete antithesis of what sports and competition on the highest level is supposed to be all about, I don't know what is. This is some egregious nonsense. It's shameful. World Series, y'all. The Dodgers. You trying to tell me one of those series they couldn't have ended that 30-year drought? They ain't won a World Series since 1988. You trying to tell me Yankees couldn't have won one of those series? I don't enjoy talking about somebody deserving to be fired. I take no pleasure in that. I'm a human being first. But you can't do this. A.J. Hinch, shame on you. Because you cracked the screen twice, according to Jeff Passan, because you wanted no part of it. You the damn manager. You could have stopped this. But I saw you celebrating when y'all won that chip, and you knew you didn't do it fairly. Jeff Lunau, you sitting there applauding subordinates, berating females in the media. You knew what the hell you had done. What you okayed. You can slice it any way you want to. Your hands are dirty. Alex Cora, you didn't just do it once. You did it twice. In 2017 and 2018. 2 titles on your resume. One as a bench coach, one as a manager, where you know you cheated. You proud of that? Puerto Ricans everywhere. Proud of Alex Cora. Because for the right reasons and fairness to him, his philanthropy cannot be denied. He loves his people, and he was tremendously contributable to their cause in the aftermath of how they got ravaged. How that island got ravaged years ago. We all know that. But we also know the folks there were incredibly proud of him because of what he accomplished. Ever think about how they're feeling now? And these players, they were complicit, ladies and gentlemen. They were absolutely, positively complicit. What the hell are you banging trash cans for if the players are paying no attention to it? Tim Kirk just said it on Get Up earlier this morning. Cal Ripken Jr., Tony Gwynn, they never wanted any signs. They never wanted a coach telling them about signs and tipping signs and all of this other stuff. It's me against you, baby. That's what it's all about. That's what makes the sports go round. These players for the Astros didn't do that. They took all the advantages. What makes them any better than Pete Rose? What makes them any better than the Black Sox scandal? I'm not satisfied. I want names of players that did this. I want to know who was complicit. And if one of them was Carlos Beltran, who retired after the 2017 World Series, not before, he should be fired as the manager of the New York Mets immediately. And any other player that's found to be guilty of this, they should be suspended for the year, since that's what A.J. Hinch and Lunau received from Major League Baseball. They should be suspended effective immediately for the entire 2020 season. Go to break.
This human resources professional is crushing it thanks to Kronos. And this is his hype song. You can fall back with the pack. I'm a leader pack.
I've got HR, payroll, talent, and time.
I'm on the top, I'm gonna rise up. Now we are
engaging all the best people.
Kronos, HR solutions for the modern workforce. Learn more at kronos.com/HR swagger.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
You must be going blind. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, is presented by Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, homes, boats, and motorcycles, RVs, commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Lots of stuff to get into right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. I'm dead serious with some of the stuff that I'm talking about. I'm dead serious about it. Because to me, you just can't get around it. You really, really can't. We'll go to the phones and please get this read off my screen, Kat, John, please. Because it's not moving. Having some technical difficulties here. Having to communicate with my staff over the air. I apologize for that. Thank you. Here's the deal. I'm not going to go as far as my boy Jeff wants to go. He thinks that the Astros shouldn't be allowed to play until game number 51 of the regular season. The first 50 games, they should have to forfeit and they should have to wait to play. So play 2 months later. You don't deserve it. My attitude is that would make the fans suffer, and they didn't do anything to deserve this. But the belief is everybody had to know. No, that's not true. Baseball is a relatively sophisticated game at times. Unless you're completely enthralled with it, the way my boy Jeff is, there's certain things you're not going to know. Certain things you're not going to know. You're not going to hear the pounding of a trash can and think, I watched the games. I heard the pounding of the trash can. I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't thinking about it. Who would have thought that was a way to steal signs? Who would have thought that? So you got that as a problem. But I tell you what I would do. In Major League Baseball, my producer Jonathan Winthrop believes that Major League Baseball is waiting for the Mets to fire Carlos Beltran. I agree with John on this. Major League Baseball should hand down its punishment and let the Mets do what they feel is right. But you shouldn't punk out and avoid punishing Carlos Beltran, which I don't understand why it would be an issue. I really, really don't. If Major League Baseball can hand down a heavy hammer against A.J. Hinch and Jeff Luhnow, and why can't they do it with Carlos Beltran? There can only be one reason. Because at the time he was a player, and you're reticent about dealing with the Players Association. That's the only explanation I can think of. It's the only explanation. But I say to hell with all of that. I'm telling y'all right now, this is Black Sox Scandal 2.0. New millennium. And to me, if you're not going to punish any of these players, at the very least, induct Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame. Reinstate him, too. Don't disown him like this. At the very least. If you're going to let these players get away with this. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's go to Joseph. You're live with yours truly. What's up, Joe? Joseph, are you on the line? Going once, Joseph.
Yes, I am here.
Going
yes,
twice,
I'm
Joseph.
sorry, Beth. How are you?
All right. You're here. All right. Don't try that with
Hello,
me.
sir.
Be ready. Let's go.
I apologize, sir. Anyway, what do you think that the Astros' punishment is severe enough, and how does this affect your view on their championship?
In light of the information that has come out, I think the punishment is definitely severe enough in terms of the manager and the general manager because they lost their jobs, as well they should. I do think some punishment should come down upon the players. Let's find out who was complicit in all of this because it appears they were, and let's deal with them too. Outside of that, I think the World Series, listen, you can't give the World Series trophy to the Dodgers. That's ridiculous. But what you can do is take it from the Astros. We see it in the NCAA all the time. We see championships confiscated. We see trophies removed from universities and whatever. Why can't you remove the World Series trophy from the Houston Astros facility? It does not belong to you. Give it to us. You cheated. Why you can't do that? You can do that. You can certainly do that. I think that at the very least, that's what you should do. Appreciate the call. Let's go to Tony. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Tony?
Peace, Stephen A. Smith on
Tony.
This beautiful day. Hello.
What's up? You're live on the air. Go ahead, man.
All right, no problem. Hey, just a quick question. Do you think, with everything that's going on right now, two names that I'm not hearing right now, John Henry and Dave Dombrowski. I know Cora, throw him in there. Beltran, throw him in there. If Beltran, if he's caught up in it as well. But, I mean, they hired Dombrowski. He was 60 years old. They fired him after the championship. They were talking about that they wanted to transition to a more process-oriented, type of situation over there in Boston. But, I mean, it smells pretty fishy now looking back on it. Dave Dombrowski needs to be subpoenaed. They need to bring him up to the office and talk to him a bit.
We have. Well, you don't know that they haven't, and we have to go by what the report reveals. If Dombrowski was implicated in any of this, it stands to reason he would have been mentioned in a 9-page report. I don't know whether that's the case. I don't know the particulars. Jeff Passan enlightened us yesterday. Tim Kirkchin will continue to enlighten us all day, along with various other baseball aficionados, and you can listen to them talk it far more intelligently and informed than I can. But the bottom line is that this appears to be the situation. I mean, the bodies that are in the report, those are the people that you deal with. There's no way in hell that the players were not complicit. That's my biggest point. And, oh, by the way, you know what I'm asking if I'm the Los Angeles Dodgers? If I'm the Los Angeles Dodgers, who were victims of this, you know who I have in my office today to have this conversation with?
Who's that?
Manager Dave Roberts. Manager Dave Roberts. What the hell were you doing when all of this was going on? You are an aficionado of baseball. You're a manager. You didn't pick up on that? Because let me assure you, the late Billy Martin, Earl of the Yankees, Earl Weaver of the Orioles, even a Tony La Russa, who, by the way, I mean, when you look at some of the stuff that he was associated with in terms of his players and what they were doing on his watch, you could obviously, you could have some question marks about him, but the man knows baseball. Bruce Bochy, okay, Lou Piniella, people like this. You trying to tell me if somebody was banging on a trash can every other pitch, they wouldn't have noticed? Dave Roberts, what the hell were you doing? Did you pick up on anything? Did you tell anybody? Did you bring it to anybody's attention? What'd you do? Because 2 World Series, we came up short against these guys. You didn't pick up on any of this. I wonder why. I'm asking that question. That's just me. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Back with more of your calls in a minute to close out the hour before my man Scott Van Pelt comes on the show to jumpstart hour number 2. By the way, it's time for some straight talk. The big wireless carriers try to wow you with big deals, but the savings are very little. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get the exact same networks as the big guys, but saving up to half the cost. Right now, you can get the unlimited plan with up to 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2 gigs for just $45 a month. No contract, no mystery fees, all with nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! 2020 is going to be your year, right? Join that gym, start that diet? Nah. How about getting out of that job and into a career? There are millions of unfilled cybersecurity positions in the U.S. right now, and My Computer Career is training people to help fill them. No IT experience or education? No problem. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu. Also, tune into the ESPN Daily Podcast, bringing you a deep dive into a single story from one of ESPN's hundreds of reporters, presented by Indeed. Download, subscribe, and review ESPN Daily, available wherever you enjoy your podcast. 888-SAY-ESPN is 888-729-3776. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get to the callers and before I get to Scott Van Pelt to jumpstart album number 2, I want to remind y'all of something that I brought up when I got on the air Monday afternoon. This Friday will be my last show as host of the Stephen A. Smith Show here on ESPN Radio. I reached an agreement with ESPN, multi-year deal. I'll be here for years to come. And part of that deal involves me doing more work behind the scenes. Of course, I'll still be doing First Take. Of course, I'll still be all over the NBA. I'll even have my own NBA show on Wednesday nights from 7 to 7:30 whenever there's a 7:30 p.m. NBA game. Personally speaking, I wish I was doing more shows than that because all the games don't come on at 7:30. Some come on at 7 o'clock. Some come on later, and I'm only on when there's an NBA game at 7:30. So hopefully in the near future, I'll have more consistency because I love doing my NBA show. But I'll have a NBA show on Wednesdays, like I said, from 7 to 7:30 leading into that 7:30 NBA game. I'll still be doing First Take, and I'll be behind the scenes, executive producing and creating content, hopefully for ESPN Plus and Disney Plus and beyond. So that is the reason that I will not be hosting the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio or ESPN News any longer, although First Take will be a staple on the show. And, of course, I'll be calling in a lot just to visit and, just let y'all know I'm still around. But I want to thank my listeners from the bottom of my heart and give love to everybody for giving me love. I just wanted to say that. LJ, you're live with Stephen A. Only got a minute. Go ahead.
What's going on, Stephen A., man? I just wanted to congratulate you on your success. And thank you for taking my calls to help my platform and my media followings. And just to continue to push for us, man, as us young commentators in the league try to set an example as you do. And one more question. Will you be at the Laker game in Houston this Saturday night?
No, I will not because I have to be at the Conor McGregor fight.
Okay. Otherwise, well, hopefully I can beat you again in the future, chopping up basketball with you, man.
Oh, no. You'll see me. Houston's going to the playoffs. I'll be there. I'll be there. You'll catch me. Don't even worry about that. Well, all right, my man. Well. I appreciate the love. Thanks a lot, bro. Call back Friday. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll continue talking about this baseball fiasco involving Alex Cora, the Houston Astros, and how the NFL, this looks bad for the NFL too. Because when baseball is willing to act with a heftier hand than the National Football League, that is not a good look for the National Football League. Needless to say, we'll get into that later, but not before I talk to my man Scott Van Pelt. He's up next with you.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Here with you over the national airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News for the next hour, my very, very last hour doing the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. It's my last hour before I move on. Number to call up is always 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save pay an average of $796 less per year. Always an honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line. I'm going to miss interviewing him on a weekly basis. Insider extraordinaire, front office material, NFL, all things NFL. The one and only Louis Riddick is on the line with us for the family. What's going on, big time? How are you, man?
I'm doing good, Stephen A. Let me just say this. This is your last show on radio. I guess when you get as global as you become, you just only have so many hours in a day that you can devote to the masses. But I'll tell you this, what you've done in this business, you're a self-made man. You're an example. You're an example for many, many, many of us. I appreciate everything you've done for me, just like many others have expressed to you. And we'll just keep on going.
I appreciate you, man.
Keep on trying to follow in your footsteps.
I appreciate
Thanks a lot.
I appreciate you, man. I love you. I think you're a star at this network, and I'm proud to call you a colleague and a friend. Let's get right to it because I love your perspective on so many different things, and I don't want to miss anything. Before I get into these championship games, your thoughts about Odell Beckham Jr. Finding himself in a situation where a warrant was out for his arrest, being charged with simple battery after slapping a security officer in the backside while celebrating inside of LSU's locker room, a male security personnel at the national championship game in New Orleans on Monday night. Your thoughts about all of that involving Odell Beckham Jr. Please tell the audience.
Yeah, I think, look, Odell has to, whether he wants to recognize it or rather truly embrace it or not, he is a wildly popular sports figure that everything that he does is magnified to the infinite degree. And every, decisions that he makes as far as his behavior that he feels are just benign and harmless, others don't look at that way, obviously. Everything that he does is analyzed and scrutinized and picked apart. And he has to have better awareness. It's as simple as that. He has to make better choices. Because when it gets to the point where you are now in a situation where you put your hands on someone else, whether you thought it was just in a playful manner, a harmless manner, in an environment like a football locker room where many things are accepted that aren't really accepted outside of a locker room, whether you believe that or not, once you cross the line and you put your hands on someone else, let alone maybe someone who's representing law enforcement, you got to understand the game changes instantly. And it definitely changes instantly when it involves you, because you know that right now you are a lightning rod for controversy. You're a lightning rod for discussion. You're a lightning – you are a – Odell's really, he's a young pillar in the sports society that unfortunately many people want to try and pull down and tear down at a moment's notice. And he needs to have better awareness than that. He has to know better than that. I'm disappointed that he conducted himself that way, but I'm still a supporter of him because in my experience, in my very brief experience of ever talking to him, I found him engaging in someone who I left going, man, I'd like to work with him. I'd really just like to get to know him and work with him.
I've met him on several occasions. We've talked on several occasions. I genuinely like him, genuinely think he's a good guy. He doesn't mean any harm or anything like that. But I do think that the immaturity has been a little bit too flagrant over the course of the last couple of years in certain situations, and there's no excuse for that. Having said that, allow me to put you on a spot just quickly for a second here. You were a person that was interviewed for the New York Giants job as a GM before Dave Gettleman got that job. I believe you should have been a GM. But here's my question to you. If Louis Riddick were the general manager of the New York Giants, would Odell Beckham Jr. still be a New York Giant?
Yeah, I've said that a couple different times. And, yeah, I would have done everything in my power to make sure I developed a relationship that was good for him and I, good for him and the football team, good for him in the city, good for him in ownership. I would have done everything I could to keep him, unless it was something that was, this couldn't be worked out and he wanted to leave. But no, yeah, I've said that numerous times. That would have never been in my plan, and that's not a backhanded slap at Dave Gettleman or Mr. Mara or Mr. Tisch or any of those guys. But and they knew how I felt about him too. So yeah, he's just one of those people, man. He's one of those people. He's a shooting star. He's a rare individual. Not to say that he deserves any more chances than anyone else, but he's just someone who I think has so much to offer, both on the field and off, because of his reach globally. And it truly is globally with a guy like him. Mm-hmm. And you just want to see him maximize everything that he's got going for him. So, yeah, I would have wanted him around as much as possible.
Louis Riddick, let me transition to Antonio Brown. You've seen the tweets. You've seen him going off. He came at me. He's gone at other people, etc. What's your state of mind involving Antonio Brown right now, and whether or not he'll ever find himself back in the NFL with all the things that we're witnessing transpire with this guy?
Yeah, state of mind is a good way of putting it. And my state of mind about his state of mind is that it needs to be assessed, and only in my experience in dealing with people who have any kind of mental illness, mental issue, mental hang-up that they need to, have somebody help them work through, what it really comes down to is their desire and their willingness to be totally transparent with themselves and be ready to go to work at fixing it. And that's what it's going to come down to with him. He needs to be totally transparent with himself and be willing to go to work and fix it. And that's going to, that first and foremost involves him recognizing and admitting that, look, man, I'm not acting right. I'm tearing down all this work I have done for my entire life to get to the point where I was at previously professionally, And now I'm just tearing it down because I can't close my mouth. I can't stay off Instagram. I can't stop, being disloyal to people who have been trying to help me professionally and give me every opportunity to do something special with my life. I got to stop. I got to figure out why it is that this is happening. And right now, he doesn't seem like he's willing to do that. And it doesn't seem like there's anybody around him right now personally that's willing to really grab him by the shoulders or grab him by the neck, metaphorically speaking, and say, Antonio, it's time, man. This is enough. This is enough. You're ruining your life. You may not be ruining it financially. You may have enough money in the bank to keep going and do your thing. But it's more than just about money. It should be about legacy with that guy, because he truly is one of the great talents to ever play the position in the NFL. It's about legacy. Don't you care?
Well, Louis,
that's what I would be asking.
Louis Riddick, let me ask you this question, though, because you've got people speculating as to whether or not he's got suffering CTE. You've got folks speculating about, the damage that has been done to him in his career because it's so physical. That stuff has been well documented in terms of the kind of impact playing NFL football can have on folks. Is there an elevated level of empathy, sympathy, whatever the appropriate word is, that we should have for these professional athletes, particularly when it comes to giving them second and third chances and what have you, because of what they're subjected to and the fact that could indeed be playing a role in the kind of behavior we're witnessing from them?
Yeah, if in fact it's proven that there is that factor that he's dealing with, then sure, then it changes the game as far as maybe how you view the situation, and that you're looking at it as he's just not being a willing jerk. He's battling something that he really can't control and is making him act in ways that he normally wouldn't act. And that's really not him. It's the disease or whatever it is, if in fact that is something that he is dealing with. But even if that is the case, and we don't know that's the case, and you stated that, but even if that is the case, there has to be some kind of awareness at this point on his own behalf to go, okay, I am able to recognize right now that I'm not doing right because I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm not doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing. If you just boil it down to one thing, I'm not playing ball. The one thing that I know he knows he should be doing, because he's one of the best in the world at it. Why aren't you doing it right now? It's because of the choices that you're making and the behavior you're exhibiting, and that requires you to be evaluated, have someone work through it with you and talk through it with you and evaluate you and make sure that there isn't something bigger going on. And I'm hoping somebody can get a hold of him who's very close to him and do that and continues to work with him and doesn't turn their back on him and doesn't look at him as just a lost cause or just a jerk who doesn't really care about anything other than himself, and looks at it for what it potentially could be, which is something that maybe he can't help.
I had somebody call me earlier today about Drew Rosenhaus dropping him and other people distancing themselves from him. And they said, Stephen A., the one thing you're not taking into consideration is that this guy, you can call him, he'll tape your phone calls. You can text him, he'll put his text messages out there. They literally say he does stuff like that, so they don't know what to do about talking to him, about helping him, because he's betraying people's trust by doing these kind of things. And we all know what he did when it came to John Gruden, and he was supposed to meet with John Gruden, and he did not do that. And when Drew Rosenhaus tried to connect them, he publicized it over social media. What are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, man, sometimes you almost get put in an impossible situation if someone is trying to help someone like that and feel as though, you've reached the end of your own rope and you don't have any other action that you could take that you think would be beneficial. And it's interesting. Sometimes I think having some experience with these situations, you almost have to give someone the feeling as though they are now up against the wall and that they have been, put out on their own, while at the same time keeping an eye on just how they're going to react to that situation. Because ultimately, you never want to fully 100% turn your back on someone who may be dealing with something that's much bigger than them. But you almost want to give them the impression that they are, especially if you've done everything you possibly can and they continue to just, blow chance after chance to taking advantage of it. And maybe that's what it's going to come to. Maybe that's what it is coming to with him. for everyone to say, hey, look, Antonio, you're on your own. But in their mind, knowing he's not really on his own, but putting him in a situation where it's all on him, whether he sinks.
Got it. Louis Riddick right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's get to these games. AFC Championship game. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs against Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans. There is no doubt that Kansas City will be the favorite. There is no doubt that most of us are craving for Kansas City to be in this postseason, in this Super Bowl. But in the same breath, we can't discount what we're seeing from Tennessee. Smash mouth football, running it down your throat, moving the chains, controlling the clock, keeping the opposing offense off the field, et cetera, et cetera. What kind of an edge do you give Kansas City in this AFC Championship game?
Well, the edge is that they can flip the script on you at any moment with one play. And they don't need many possessions in order to beat you, whereas some teams need multiple possessions. They need multiple at-bats to be able to really, ring up enough points in order to win football games. Kansas City can do it however you want. You can dominate Kansas City for 58 minutes and really not dominate the scoreboard, and all it takes for them is one big play, and that's it. One big play, 2-point conversion, they beat you. One big play, 2-point conversion, field goal, they beat you. And then, you go, heck, they only ran like 25, 30 plays. That's what makes them so damn scary, is their explosiveness. Because the NFL, as much as we want to talk about Derrick Henry, and he's been phenomenal, we get it. He's a Mack truck. He's unique. He's fun to watch. The NFL is still about explosive plays. It's about being able to flip the field and absolutely just take the air out of a football team, because you can either take it away or you can score it, and they can do that.
But, Lewis, what about the notion that Kansas City played Tennessee earlier this season? Patrick Mahomes threw for 446 yards, but Derrick Henry ran for 188, and Tennessee managed to win that game. What about that?
Yeah, remember, context is always important about how those yards came. Derrick ripped off one long run, I believe it was 68 yards. He had for a touchdown. Even on that play, he should have been down for a 5-yard gain. That's neither here nor there. The point is this, though. Even with him running it like that, Kansas City lost that football game for two reasons, basically. One reason, special teams. One, they fumble a snap on a field goal. It was a 40-yard-plus field goal attempt, but they fumble a snap and can't get it off, and the next one they get blocked. Okay, two chances where they could have won that football game, where even though defensively they got ran through pretty good as far as Derrick is concerned, they still were right there. Pat had done everything he needed to do in order to help them win that football game and gave them a chance to win it, and one of the phases of the game didn't come through. Simple as that. Now, Tennessee can flip it over and say, well, we did what we needed to do to win the game, and you're right. Give them credit. They did. But Kansas City didn't get dominated. It wasn't because Pat threw the ball too much. It wasn't for any of those reasons. It just happened to be in one of their phases of the game where they're supposed to execute and do their job. They did, and they lost. Simple as that.
Louis Riddick right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Last question for you, NFC Championship game involving San Francisco and the Green Bay Packers. Who are you giving the edge to and why?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to San Fran because I think they've been the best team in the NFC all year long. I think they are built right both along the offensive line and defensive line. I think they play to who their personnel is and who their head coach wants to be. They are very much so in tune to what their identity is. Their quarterback right now, I mean, you stated this earlier today. Their quarterback right now is like 5th on the headline list on this football team, but he may be playing some of the best football. Well, he is playing some of the best football of his career right now. What a luxury that is. The quarterback, the central focal point of your football team, isn't even the 5th best headline on your football team. Mm-hmm. They've got it going on right now. They can kill you on offense running the football. They can hit you with explosive plays down the field with all the receivers and the best tight end maybe in football, George Kittle. And they have a defense that if they get a lead on you, it's lights out because they got 6 guys they can roll through there that'll absolutely just terrorize your quarterback, and Aaron already knows that. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be tighter than the first game was, but I believe San Francisco wins that.
I did forget to ask you about this question. What did you think about Richard Sherman's diatribe, how he went off about how what other corner in the game is doing what he does? What about all of that?
Yeah. Rich, always finds something to keep him motivated and keep him going. I think there is some truth, though, to what he is always claimed, that people don't want to necessarily truly give him elite corner, shutdown corner status because of the teams he played on in Seattle with the ferocious pass rush they used to have. because of all the other good members in the secondary that he used to play with, because then sometimes he didn't travel and he just stayed on his side when Brandon Browner stayed on his side. They didn't give him credit then. Then when he did travel and he did cover guys like Antonio Brown, they still gave credit to the defensive front. They gave credit to Earl Thomas. They gave it to everybody but him in terms of fully embracing him as a shutdown guy. And he's never forgotten it, and he won't forget it ever. And it's what fuels him, and that's why you love him.
Louis Riddick, always appreciate you, my brother. I'll see you soon, my man. We'll talk before the Super Bowl. You know it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Stephen.
All right, my man, the one and only Louis Riddick, NFL analyst and insider extraordinaire for ESPN, right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Andre. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, Stephen A. Just want to echo the sentiments of many others and congratulating you as you move on to your next venture, stepping behind the scenes. I look at what a man like Tyler Perry is doing, down in Atlanta with his own studio, and now yourself, going behind the scenes to be an executive producer for numerous projects and kind of spearhead many things. That's very exciting. To the world of football, I want to go. The Tennessee Titans, in my view, are about that life. I think the NFL would like to see the Chiefs and the Packers in the Super Bowl. Nonetheless, my point of fact is this. Should the Chiefs go down 24-0 like they did last week, or 14-0 like they did against the Patriots a year ago, they're not coming back against the Titans. If the Titans land that first haymaker, the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Mahomes, they're going down for the count. I think Tennessee is, they're built for this. They've been knocking off perennial champions, the Patriots, the Ravens, and they might not be the most marketable team, but I think they may be the best team left in the NFL playoffs.
I kind of agree with you. Let's make sure. Let's see what happens. Thanks a lot for that call. Jeremy, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
What's going on, Stephen A?
What's going on? Go ahead, man.
Nice to meet you. Nice to talk to you, brother. I just want to talk to you about Jimmy Pornstar and the 49ers, man. Mm-hmm. Now, I know all year you've been kind of skeptical on my boy Jimmy G. Do we get the respect or the props now or what, Steve?
For San Francisco?
Yes, sir.
You're the favorites to win the chip. What's the problem?
I just want to hear Stephen A. give Jimmy G his props.
I give the San Francisco 49ers their props. Let's see what Pornstar Jimmy does when it gets.
Oh, he gonna show up, man.
Okay. When Pornstar, I know he's gonna show up all right. He's gonna show up in Malibu. He's gonna show up a few places. Is he gonna show up in San Francisco or right outside? What is it? Santa Clara? Is that where they play? Santa Clara. Let's see if he shows up there this Sunday, and then after that, if he shows up in Miami, we'll find out. We'll find out. I know. I'm gonna see him in Malibu this summer, though. I know that. I promise you that. And by the way, I don't know. Listen, I'm not. Listen, it's FCC airwaves, and you got to remember, I work for Walt Disney. But I do go as far as to at least say, y'all act like it's an insult when I'm calling him Pornstar Jimmy. I'm not hating on that.
No, that's an insult. That's his nickname for me. That's Pornstar Jimmy.
I'm just saying, I'm not hating on. Look, man, look, the brother rolled out with paparazzis everywhere, rolled right out on the scene with a porn star. I mean, damn. Yeah, that's all. I think it's entirely appropriate that I give him that nickname, and it's not an insult. It's not.
So you're the only one. You're the only one other than me I know that really calls him Jimmy Pornstar.
No. Pornstar Jimmy. Pornstar Jimmy. That clearly is what he wanted to be known as. I mean, did he want to be known as something else? Come on, man. You got a football contract. Yeah. You're playing for the San Francisco 49ers. You just signed a $137 million contract with $72 million guaranteed. And before we saw you throw a pass in practice, we saw footage of you in Hollywood or Malibu or wherever the hell it was with the porn star. What you want me to say? What you want me to say?
I want you to just tell Jimmy to keep it going, man.
Just keep it going. I ain't hating on the brother. It is not an insult. It really isn't. I hope he doesn't think that way. I find it to be a very, very complimentary name.
It's very complimentary. That's why I had to bring it up.
That's all I'm trying to say. Pornstar Jimmy. I won't call him that during the Super Bowl. We get to the Super Bowl. I won't call him that for Super Bowl week. I'll leave it alone. I won't say Pornstar Jimmy then. I'll just call him Jimmy G or Jimmy Garoppolo because he's an NFC champion going to the Super Bowl. But for now, at least until Sunday, he's Pornstar Jimmy. That's the way it's going to be.
I want to touch on one more thing.
Hurry up. Go ahead.
The boy Joe Burrow, man, I think Joe handled that whole situation wrong. And I don't think he should have been selfish like that. The situation with him and Odell, when Odell did what he did.
When he said he said it was real cash?
Yeah, man. I don't think he should have did that because even though you're leading the show, there's other people that got 4 and 3 years there, man.
Well, not just that. I'll tell you why he was wrong. You want me to tell you the biggest reason he was wrong?
Yeah.
Because of the quote he gave. Quote, I'm not in college anymore. So I can answer that question. Yes. That shows he was thinking about him, not the other guys. Period. Got to run. Appreciate the call. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Back with the last half hour of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute. By the way, we all love a night out, whether it's seeing our favorite band in person or being there in the crowd to cheer on our favorite team. Vivid Seats is the top source for tickets for all the live events you want to go to. To make things even better, Vivid Seats now has a loyalty program that allows fans to earn credit back. All you need to do is download the Vivid Seats app to purchase tickets and start earning today. Get out to the biggest concerts, games, the hottest theater shows, and more. Download the app and join the Vivid Seats Rewards loyalty program today.
This human resources professional is a rock star thanks to Kronos. And this is her hype song.
I'm the spark before the fire. I'm the power in the train.
Have HR, payroll, talent, and time.
I'm the dream and you should know that.
Now we're engaging all the best people.
Kronos, HR solutions for the modern workforce and the people who support them. Learn more at kronos.com/HR swagger.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Up the road. Let you go. It's so natural. You belong to me. 30 minutes past hour number 2. Back here on the last version of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio, my last half hour with everybody. By the way, Brandon Ingram hit a career high of 49 points last night in the Pelicans' victory against the Utah Jazz, ending the Jazz 10-game winning streak. This player resume is brought to you by Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Back to the phones we go. Jonathan, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Yo, Stephen A., first things first, we're going to miss you, brother. My mornings ain't going to be the same without listening to you, man.
Thank you, my brother.
Now, my question is, being a Yankee fan, do you think this year is going to be easy way for the Yankees to just...
Listen, it better be now that you got Garrett Cole. Now that you got Garrett Cole, it better be. It better be. There's no excuse for the Yankees to lose the World Series. And not only that, you don't have to worry about Boston or Houston, who both cheated. So you got 2 cheaters out the way, and you got Garrett Cole. What's the problem? What's the problem?
Nothing. We got to win it all this year, Stephen A. Thank you so much, brother, and good luck, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. To the calls we go. Screen went back. There we go. Let's go to Ramsey. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Good morning, Stephen A. Thank you again for what you've done for us, and we're going to miss you. The point I wanted to call in to make about the whole baseball scandal is we obviously know there was no cheating going on this year in 2019 because we saw the results of the World Series. It went 7 games with the Astros. All 7 games were won on the road, meaning Washington won all 4 games in Houston, which means Houston must not have been stealing signs in because it didn't work out and didn't work well for them this year against the Nationals.
Listen, here's the reality of the situation. Baseball had an investigation. It found what Houston was doing in 2017 and essentially discovered what was going on in 2018 with the Boston Red Sox. Case closed.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like we ain't trying to sit up there and say give the trophy to the other team. What we're trying to say is clearly you engaged in the kind of behavior that's not worthy of a champion. So you don't deserve to be recognized as one. It's very, very simple to me. What's the problem?
Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't win this year, especially after all this that came out.
I don't find it to be a problem. I really, really don't. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. Plain and simple.
And the whole Altuve trying to hold his jersey against the Yankees, looking at it hindsight 2020, we know what he was doing now.
I got you. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Ron. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Ron?
Hey, Stephen A., I appreciate you taking the call. I'm a lifelong Heat fan, and you know me, I love me some Stephen A. Knicks rants. I can appreciate that from an emotional level. Any chance you're going to end the show?
Nope. I'm not going to ruin my last day on ESPN Radio by talking about the Knicks. I won't do it. I won't do it. My listeners deserve better. I deserve better. I don't want to depress myself. I'm looking forward to having a mighty fine weekend. I'm not going to set the stage for a beautiful weekend by contaminating myself talking about the Knicks.
I love you, Stephen A. Good luck on your
Appreciate
next
it, man. Thank you so much. Ron, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Stephen A., it's been a pleasure listening to you on the radio. I've listened to you for years. I never got to call in, but I wanted to be the last Dallas Cowboy fan to call you.
Well, you won't be because there's another call on the line wanting to talk about the Cowboys, but go ahead.
Well, doggone it. I just want to make fun of it. You know, you make me laugh. You know, you're serious about it at times, and I enjoy you being serious about it. You know the game. You know how it's being played. I am a Cowboy fan, but you know what? I love listening to you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go to John. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, John?
Hey, Stephen A. Thanks for my call. First-time caller, long-time listener. I just got a question on the Dallas Cowboys and with Mike McCarthy. How much control will he have, according to Jerry Jones, and in reality? And I know they need some discipline, and I think he will do it, but I just don't know how much control he's really
I don't know
have.
if the word control is apropos when it comes to I don't know if the word is if it's apropos when it comes to Mike McCarthy. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, we all know who the man in charge is, Jerry Jones. And we all know that he's not going to concede that power to anybody else, even if it's to his detriment. He's made that very, very clear throughout the years, and that's not going to change. So with that being the reality, Mike McCarthy is going to have an opportunity to coach this team on Sundays. But I think that before the games, obviously it's going to be a collective thing going on with Jerry Jones overseeing everything. And Mike McCarthy has already been on the record saying he's willing to lie to get the job. He was trying to get the job. He was joking. It was fun, but nevertheless, it was indicative of how he felt. He wanted the job desperately. He wanted the job badly, and he's gotten it. He has the job. And so now it is what it is. And that's just the way it's going to stay. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you. James, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. Just wanted to get advice from the love doctor.
Sure, man. What's going on? You need the love doctor? You need the love doctor? You need the love doctor?
Yeah. Just
what's going on, bro?
All right. So, been with my girlfriend for 6 years. And, there's like little things that I want, her to change about. But at this point, am I, wasting her time and most importantly, I guess each other's time? Should I just let that person go?
Well, stop right there. First of all, are you happy with her?
For the most part, yes.
For the most part, because you're never going to be happy about everything. Just like she's never going to be happy about everything with you. Ain't nothing about you perfect. Matter of fact, we're far more trifling than women ever will be. We got our own tendencies. We know that. So my question to you would be, okay, you said for the most part you're happy. All right, are you in love with her?
Yes.
You sure about this? Because you don't sound sure.
Yes.
Are you sure?
I am.
Okay, now when you say there are little things about her that you would like to change, what are those things?
Like, cooking. And like, I feel like I go out of my way to do things. Probably, I feel like it's 75-25.
Okay.
All
right.
I would understand maybe. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't say 50-50, but I wouldn't mind 60-40.
Well, let me ask you this question. I'm gonna add that now. This is gonna hurt your ego, but I'm gonna help you out here. But you got to answer me honestly, right? Okay. All right, James.
Okay, I hear you.
Are you of the belief that you are more in love with her than she is in love with you?
No.
You think she's just as much in love with you as you are with her?
I think it's the other way around.
You think she's more in love with you than you are with her?
I would probably say so.
Well, then how do you explain in your mind how you give 75% and she only gives 25%, while in the same breath you're saying she's more in love with you than you are with her?
Yeah. Well, I'm a believer in in some action.
All right, let me stop. Let me stop you. James, let me give you some advice. My brother, you all over the place. The fact of the matter is, based on what you're telling me, she's not the problem. You're the problem. And I'm going to tell you why. My personal belief is this. When a woman is in love with you, you ain't wondering about much. Because she doesn't leave room for you to wonder. You just finished saying she's more in love with you than you are with her. To say that about her while in the same breath saying she's not giving doesn't really make much sense. And so what I would ask you to do is really go home and don't spend time with her for a day or so. Sit home alone in the crevices of your own mind and space without her. And really internalize and look at yourself and ask yourself what you want. Because if you can say with a straight face that she is in love with you, even more than you are in love with her, even though you acknowledge you're in love with her, then there is something about her that is showing you she loves you. That's not a selfish person. And if she's showing that and you know that, and therefore you can't say but so much about her selfishness, then the problem lies with you and what you definitively want to make you happy. Nobody can make you happy. You can be happy with somebody else, but you got to love yourself a little bit more first. Because if you don't love yourself and you constantly miserable, you're going to get in the way of any happiness that comes your way. You understand?
I understand. I agree.
All right. Now get on out of here. I'm the love
Appreciate
doctor.
it.
Get on out of here. I'm the love doctor. That's what Martin Lawrence used to say on the show. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The very last segment of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio and ESPN News coming up in a minute. By the way, Hulu paid Todd Gurley and his hashtag catfluencer named Mr. Hulu Has Live Sports a lot of money to tell you that Hulu has live sports. But guess what? What they didn't get paid to tell you is that on top of live sports and over 60 channels, you can access Hulu's entire streaming library with tons of the hottest shows and movies and exclusive originals. You'll never want to turn off your TV. Start your free trial a day. Live TV plan required. Restrictions apply. Learn more at Hulu.com.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it.
Up the road. Let you go. It's so natural. You belong to me. 30 minutes past hour number 2. Back here on the last version of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. My last half hour with everybody. By the way, Brandon Ingram hit a career high of 49 points last night in the Pelicans' victory against the Utah Jazz, ending the Jazz 10-game winning streak. This player resume is brought to you by Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Back to the phones we go. Jonathan, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Yo, Stephen A., first things first, we're going to miss you, brother. My morning ain't going to be the same without listening to you, man.
Thank you, my brother.
Now, my question is, being a Yankee fan, do you think this year is going to be easy way for the Yankees to just...
Listen, it better be now that you got Jared Cole. Now that you got Garrett Cole, it better be. It better be. There's no excuse for the Yankees to lose the World Series. And not only that, you don't have to worry about Boston or Houston, who both cheated. So you got 2 cheaters out the way, and you got Garrett Cole. What's the problem? What's the problem?
Nothing. We got to win it all this year, Stephen A. Thank you so much, brother, and good luck, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. To the calls we go. Screen went back. There we go. Let's go to Ramsey. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Good morning, Stephen A. Thank you again for what you've done for us, and we're going to miss you. The point I wanted to call in to make about the whole baseball scandal is we obviously know there was no cheating going on this year in 2019 because we saw the results of the World Series. It went 7 games with the Astros. All 7 games were won on the road, meaning Washington won all 4 games in Houston, which means Houston must not have been stealing signs in because it didn't work out and didn't work well for them this year against the Nationals.
Listen, here's the reality of the situation. Baseball had an investigation. It found what Houston was doing in 2017 and essentially discovered what was going on in 2018 with the Boston Red Sox. Case closed.
Exactly.
I mean, like we ain't trying to sit up there and say give the trophy to the other team. What we're trying to say is clearly you engaged in the kind of behavior that's not worthy of a champion. So you don't deserve to be recognized as one. It's very, very simple to me. What's the problem?
Yeah, they didn't, and I'm glad they didn't win this year, especially after all this that came out.
I don't find it to be a problem. I really, really don't. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. Plain and simple.
And the whole Altuve trying to hold his jersey against the Yankees, looking at it hindsight 2020, we know what he was doing now.
I got you. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Ron. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Ron?
Hey, Stephen A., I appreciate you taking the call. I'm a lifelong Heat fan, and you know me, I love me some Stephen A. Knicks rants. I can appreciate that from an emotional level. Any chance you're going to end the show? Or
Nope. Nope. I'm not going to ruin my last day on ESPN Radio by talking about the Knicks. I won't do it. I won't do it. My listeners deserve better. I deserve better. I don't want to depress myself. I'm looking forward to having a mighty fine weekend. I'm not going to set the stage for a beautiful weekend by contaminating myself talking about the Knicks.
I love you, Stephen A. Good luck on your next
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Ron, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Stephen A., it's been a pleasure listening to you on the radio. I've listened to you for years. I never got to call in, but I wanted to be the last Dallas Cowboy fan to call you.
Well, you won't be because there's another call on the line wanting to talk about the Cowboys, but go ahead.
Well, doggone it. I just want to make fun of it. You know, you make me laugh. You know, you're serious about it at times, and I enjoy you being serious about it. You know the game. You know how it's being played. I am a Cowboy fan, but you know what? I love listening to you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go to John. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, John?
Hey, Stephen A. Thanks for my call. First-time caller, long-time listener. I just got a question on the Dallas Cowboys and with Mike McCarthy. How much control will he have, according to Jerry Jones, and in reality? And I know they need some discipline, and I think he will do it, but I just don't know how much control he's really.
I don't know if the word control is apropos when it comes to. I don't know if the word is, if it's apropos when it comes to Mike McCarthy. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, we all know who the man in charge is, Jerry Jones, and we all know that he's not going to concede that power to anybody else, even if it's to his detriment. He's made that very, very clear throughout the years. And that's not going to change. So with that being the reality, Mike McCarthy is going to have an opportunity to coach this team on Sundays. But I think that before the games, obviously it's going to be a collective thing going on with Jerry Jones overseeing everything. And Mike McCarthy has already been on the record saying he's willing to lie to get the job. He was trying to get the job. He was joking. It was fun. But nevertheless, it was indicative of how he felt. He wanted the job desperately. He wanted the job badly, and he's gotten it. He has the job. And so now it is what it is. And that's just the way it's going to stay. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you. James, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. Just wanted to get advice from the love doctor.
Sure, man. What's going on? You need the love doctor? You need the love doctor?
Yeah. It's just
what's going on, bro?
Time. All right. So, been with my girlfriend for 6 years. And, there's like little things that I want, her to change about, but at this point, am I, wasting her time and most importantly, I guess each other's time? Should I just let that person go?
Oh, stop right there. First of all, are you happy with her?
For the most part, yes.
For the most part, because you're never going to be happy about everything. Just like she's never going to be happy about everything with you. Ain't nothing about you perfect. Matter of fact, we're far more trifling than women ever will be. We got our own tendencies. We know that. So my question to you would be, okay, you said for the most part you're happy. All right, are you in love with her?
Yes.
You sure about this? Because you don't sound sure.
Yes.
Are you sure?
I am.
Okay, now when you say there are little things about her that you would like to change, what are those things?
Like, cooking. And like, I feel like I go out of my way to do things. Probably, it's like I feel like it's 75-25.
Okay.
All
right.
I would understand. Maybe I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't say 50-50, but I wouldn't mind 60-40.
Well, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. I'm gonna add that now. This is gonna hurt your ego, but I'm gonna help you out here. But you got to answer me honestly, right? Okay. All right, James.
Okay, I hear you.
Are you of the belief that you are more in love with her than she is in love with you?
No.
You think she's just as much in love with you as you are with her?
I think it's the other way around.
You think she's more in love with you than you are with her?
I would probably say so.
Well, then how do you explain in your mind how you give 75% and she only gives 25%, while in the same breath you're saying she's more in love with you than you are with her?
Yeah. Well, I'm a believer in in some actions.
All right, let me stop. Let me stop you. James, let me give you some advice. My brother, you all over the place. The fact of the matter is, based on what you're telling me, she's not the problem. You're the problem. And I'm going to tell you why. My personal belief is this. When a woman is in love with you, you ain't wondering about much. Because she doesn't leave room for you to wonder. You just finished saying she's more in love with you than you are with her. To say that about her while in the same breath saying she's not giving doesn't really make much sense. And so what I would ask you to do is really go home and don't spend time with her for a day or so. Sit home alone in the crevices of your own mind and space without her. And really internalize and look at yourself and ask yourself what you want. Because if you can say with a straight face that she is in love with you, even more than you are in love with her, even though you acknowledge you're in love with her, then there is something about her that is showing you she loves you. That's not a selfish person. And if she's showing that and you know that, and therefore you can't say but so much about her selfishness, then the problem lies with you and what you definitively want to make you happy. Nobody can make you happy. You can be happy with somebody else, but you got to love yourself a little bit more first. Because if you don't love yourself and you constantly miserable, you're going to get in the way of any happiness that comes your way. You understand?
I understand. I agree.
All right. Now get on out of here. I'm the love
Appreciate
doctor.
it.
Get on out of here. I'm the love doctor. That's what Martin Lawrence used to say on the show. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The very last segment of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio and ESPN News coming up in a minute. By the way, Hulu paid Todd Gurley and his hashtag catfluencer named Mr. Hulu Has Live Sports a lot of money to tell you that Hulu has live sports. But guess what? What they didn't get paid to tell you is that on top of live sports and over 60 channels, you can access Hulu's entire streaming library with tons of the hottest shows and movies and exclusive originals. You'll never want to turn off your TV. Start your free trial a day. Live TV plan required. Restrictions apply. Learn more at Hulu.com.